She was barefoot, running blood-soaked through her sock. The road was empty. Behind her, headlights flickered once, then went dark. Mara didn't stop, not when the gravel cut into her heel, not when the night air sliced at her lungs, not even when she heard his voice behind her again, calm, steady, like it hadn't just happened. "You left your phone in the car." Her chest seized. That wasn't kindness in his voice. That was control. The kind that smiled when it bled you dry. 6 hours earlier, Mara had been stranded. Her phone battery was dead. Her last ride, a couple heading north, had dropped her off at a sleepy rural gas station just past midnight. The station closed at 10. She hadn't realized that now. She stood beneath a flickering bulb, trying not to panic. Then came him. A dusty red pickup rolled up slow, humming like a lullaby. The driver leaned over and rolled down the passenger window. "Need a lift?" he asked. His voice was warm. He looked ordinary, late 30s, unshaven, a trucker cap, a soft plaid shirt. Harmless, even kind. Mara hesitated, then nodded. Inside, the cab smelled faintly of cinnamon and motor oil. He said his name was Grady, and he was heading toward Elkwood, a quiet town about 2 hours up. "Where you headed?" he asked. "Wherever's safe," Mara said. Grady didn't press, he didn't flirt. He didn't ask why she had bruises on her wrist, or why her eyes looked like she hadn't slept in days. He just nodded, flicked on the radio, and drove. It almost felt safe. For the first time in weeks, Mara let her guard down. She told him bits and pieces, that she was trying to start over, that she was done running from someone, a man who made her feel like she didn't exist unless she was hurting. Grady didn't say much, just listened. "I've seen people like that," he said finally. "They hide behind kindness, but deep down, they enjoy the breaking part." She looked at him then. His eyes were steady, understanding. Mara felt seen, but what she didn't know was that Grady wasn't talking about her ex. He was talking about himself. The first warning sign was small. They stopped at a diner. She ordered coffee. When she reached for her purse, he slid it toward him first. "Let me," he said, harmless, right? But his hand lingered on the bag a moment too long. When she got it back, her phone wasn't in it. She told herself she must have left it in the truck. No big deal. Back on the road, Grady took a different route. "Elkwood's this way," she said, noticing the turn-off sign slipping past them. "Shortcut," he replied. "GPS says this way's faster." But his phone screen was dark, and the road was getting narrower, rougher, deeper into woods she didn't recognize. Mara's stomach twisted. "Hey," she said softly. "Can we pull over? I think I'm gonna be sick." He didn't even blink. "We'll be there soon." Her pulse began to hammer. She reached for the door handle. It was locked. Minutes later, they pulled into an abandoned-looking rest stop. No lights, no vending machines, no working payphones. Grady killed the engine, the silence screamed. "We're not in Elkwood," she whispered. "No," he said. "We're not." Then he smiled, not cruelly, not wickedly, just calmly, like everything was exactly where it should be. Mara lunged. She clawed at the handle, shoved the door open, and ran barefoot into the dark gravel, slicing her foot open. She didn't look back. She didn't scream. She ran behind her. Grady didn't chase. He just stood by the truck, watching until he finally said, "You left your phone in the car." Now, Mara stood in the middle of a winding road, heart hammering, foot bleeding, lungs burning. Somewhere, branches cracked, not behind her, in front of her. She turned. There, in the shadows, stood a little girl, maybe 7 or 8, pale, barefoot, in a thin NIGHTGOWN. "Mara, single quotes, are you okay?" she whispered. The girl raised a hand and pointed, not at Mara, but behind her. Mara turned. Grady was no longer at the truck. He was 10 feet away, and he wasn't alone anymore. Mara didn't breathe, couldn't. Grady stood there, not charging, not speaking, just watching. And behind him, someone else stepped out from the tree line. A woman, early 50s maybe, long gray braid, holding something in her hand. Mara backed away, her foot screaming with pain. The little girl didn't move. She just kept pointing, face blank, like she'd been trained. "Run," Mara whispered to her. The girl didn't flinch. Grady took a step forward. Mara bolted, not toward the truck, not toward the road, but deeper into the woods. Every step sent a jolt of fire up her leg, but she didn't stop. She had one goal now: survive the night. The trees swallowed the moonlight. Branches tore at her arms. She crashed through brush until the sound of Grady's footsteps disappeared. Finally, she saw something. A building, wooden, slanted, half-rotting, a cabin. She limped up the steps and shoved the door open. It groaned on rusted hinges. Empty, she thought. Please be empty. She stumbled inside, slammed the door shut, and locked it. The lock barely held. Then she froze. Upstairs, Mara's breath caught. She looked around. No weapon, nothing. Just a broken chair and dust-thick air. A stair creaked. She backed into a corner. Then, a figure stepped into view. Not Grady, not the woman, not the girl. A boy, maybe, 17, pale, shaking, dressed in rags and barefoot. He stared at her wild-eyed. "You shouldn't be here," he whispered. "Please," she said. "I need help. There's a man, he's after me. He brought others. You need to hide. Now." He grabbed her hand and pulled her toward a narrow crawl space beneath the stairs. She hesitated. "I'm not like them," he said. "I swear, I've been stuck here for months." Before she could ask more, he pushed her into the crawl space and closed the hatch, seconds before the front door exploded open. Mara lay still, heart pounding, her foot throbbing in rhythm with her heartbeat. Through the cracks, she could see boots, heavy, muddy, 2 pairs, Grady and the older woman. "She's in here," Grady said. "I saw her trail. Boy might have seen her," the woman replied. "If he lies again, you know what to do." Mara's breath hitched. "They were talking about the boy who helped her split up," Grady said. Their boots moved in separate directions, one toward the back room, one toward the stairs. Mara heard the boy's voice upstairs. He was saying something, lying, stalling. No one came in. "You told me to stay quiet." "I did. I swear." SMACK. A slap. Hard. Lying little freak. The woman growled. "Please, don't." Thud. Silence. Mara bit her knuckle to stay silent. Grady's boots passed inches from her hiding spot. He stopped. She could see his hand reach toward the hatch. A creak. Then his radio crackled. "Found her sock. Out back. Get here." He froze, swore, then turned and stormed off. The door slammed. Silence. Returned. 10 seconds. 20. 30. Then the hatch creaked open. The boy, bleeding but alive. "Come on," he whispered. "Before they come back." They slipped out a rear window. The woods were thicker back there, but the boy seemed to know the paths. He led her through a tight trail, past rotting deer carcasses and rusty traps, until they reached a moss-covered rock formation. Behind it, a sinkhole, covered in branches and leaves. "Get in," he said. "They don't come down here, not since the others died." "The others?" Mara asked. He looked at her. "You're not the first." Mara's skin prickled. She followed him into the sinkhole. A narrow tunnel led to a dirt chamber, lit by a single solar-powered camping light. Inside, piles of clothes, blankets, journals. A photo of a girl with the name Danica scribbled on it. "Who were they?" she asked. "Hitchhikers like you." They trusted him. He paused. Some he let go. Some he didn't. "Why me?" Mara whispered. "Because you told him you'd been hurt before. That makes you easy. Familiar? Pain is what he feeds on." She felt sick. He handed her a granola bar and a flask of water. She drank. Her hands trembled. "What's your name?" she asked. "Eli. I'm Mara." They sat in silence for a moment. "We need to leave before sunrise," he said. "There's only one road out, but we'll need the truck and keys." Mara stiffened. "You mean, go back?" Eli looked at her with calm, haunted eyes. "It's either that, or we die in these woods." Just before dawn, they returned, quiet as ghosts, to the clearing where Grady's truck sat. No sign of him or the others. "Check the cabin," Eli said. "I'll watch the road." Mara nodded and crept toward the truck. The passenger side door creaked as she opened it, her phone on the dash. Dead battery. She grabbed it anyway, then dash keys. Not in the ignition, not in the cue folder. The glove box. She opened it. Click. A small red light blinked. A tracker, and a photo. Her taken from inside the truck while she slept. Bile rose in her throat. Suddenly, a voice behind her. "You weren't supposed to see that." Grady. Gun in hand. He didn't look angry. He looked disappointed. "It's always the quiet ones," he said. "The broken girls. They say thank you. They cry a little. Then they bleed. That's the cycle." Mara didn't speak. She inched her fingers toward the keys half hidden under a receipt. "Don't," he said softly. Then thwack. A rock smashed into Grady's temple. He collapsed, groaning. Eli stood behind him, holding another. "Take the gun," Eli panted. Mara grabbed it, hands shaking. Grady was down, not out. He rolled over, coughing. "You think this is over?" he hissed. "There's more. You don't even know what she's done." "She?" Mara asked. "The woman," Eli said. "His mother." "Not his mother," Grady croaked. "His wife." Mara froze. She turned to Eli. He didn't deny it. He just said, quietly, "I didn't know how to tell you." Then, from the woods, a gunshot cracked. Eli staggered, hit the dirt. The woman appeared, rifle in hand. "You always ruin everything," she said. Mara dove behind the truck. Grady lay groaning nearby. The gun clattered beside him. She lunged, grabbed it. Bang! The woman fired again, missed. Mara turned the pistol on her and fired twice. Once in the shoulder, once in the leg. She dropped, screaming silence. Just the moaning of 3 broken people in the woods, and Mara bloodied, limping, crying, standing in the middle of it all. She turned to Eli. He was alive. "Barely, you lied," she whispered. "I left her," he coughed. "Years ago, I was born into this. I didn't want it. Then help me finish it," she said. "Or I swear, I will." Eli nodded. Together, they got into the truck. And drove. But as they sped away in the mirror, Mara saw something that made her stomach twist again. Still pointing, still watching. Mara's knuckles were white on the steering wheel. Eli was drifting in and out of consciousness, blood soaking his side. She pushed the truck as fast as it could go down the unlit forest road. "Stay awake," she begged. "I need you." His head lolled toward the window. "We're not safe," he mumbled. "She's not the last." "What do you mean?" "She wasn't in charge." Mara's stomach twisted. Then who was? But Eli was already out cold. The sun was rising by the time she reached the paved highway. Her phone was dead. The truck's gas tank was near empty. She didn't dare stop in town if someone was still looking for them. They'd know what to search for. That's when she saw the faded wooden sign. Mayfield, 12 miles cabins, pines. Healing. The word healing hit her like a whisper. She made the turn. The cabins weren't fancy, old, worn wood with green moss clinging to the roofs, but they looked abandoned. A place forgotten by the world. Perfect. Mara parked behind one and half-carried Eli inside. It smelled like pine and mildew. She laid him on the couch, pressed clean cloth to his wound, and finally let herself breathe. But only for a second, because pinned to the back of the front door. was a photo, black and white. A group shot, 8 people, 4 men, 3 women, and 1 child. Her breath caught. The little girl, still expressionless. Still pointing, she turned the photo over. One word was written on the back, in red marker, OBEY. That night, the wind howled through the trees. Mara tried to sleep but couldn't. The silence around her wasn't natural. It felt watched. She stepped outside, flashlight in hand, and walked the narrow trail between the cabins. Every door was slightly ajar, every window cracked open, like someone had left in a hurry, or been taken at the end of the path. Stood a larger building, almost a lodge. She pushed the door open. Inside were dozens of photos tacked to the walls, pinned to the beams, taped to the ceiling. All of her. Some recent, some from years ago. One of her at age 6 playing in her old backyard. She stumbled backward, heart racing. A TV flickered on in the corner, static hissed. Then a voice. You always knew you didn't belong, didn't you? Mara froze. They told you it was your fault, that you were broken, but you've always just been chosen. The screen cleared. A blurry video played. Her mother, crying, holding a photo of Mara. She was taken, her mother said to someone, off camera. We thought she was dead, but then we got the postcard. Mara's hands trembled. The screen went dark behind her. A floorboard creaked. She turned. The little girl, standing at the threshold. Same torn dress, same blank eyes. But this time, she spoke. He wants you to come now. Who? Mara choked. The man who made you. What are you talking about? You were never just a hitchhiker, the girl said. You were supposed to come home. Mara backed away slowly. No, that's not true. Why do you think Eli knew where the sinkhole was? The girl asked. Why do you think the photo was in that truck? He didn't lie to you. He just never told you the whole truth. Suddenly, from behind the girl, came a voice. She's not ready. Eli got bloody, pale, leaning against the doorway, gun in hand. I told you to leave her out of this, he growled. The girl didn't flinch, just turned and walked away. Mara stared at Eli. What did she mean? He didn't answer. What did she mean, Eli? He leaned against the wall, breathing hard. They raised me in this place. From the time I was 5, told me I was special, that I'd be a part of something that would fix the broken world. What kind of something? They called it the reclamation. They took kids who'd been abandoned or abused, said they were collecting the discarded ones, but I wasn't. Eli nodded toward the screen. Your mom lied to protect you. You were taken too, just like me, but you got out. Someone helped you escape. The reclamation never forgot. That's insane, Mara whispered. Is it? Eli said, eyes dark. How else do you explain this? He pulled a folded paper from his pocket. Mara opened it. It was her birth certificate, but the name on it. Mara Eleora Grange. Her last name wasn't Wells, not originally. Grange. That's your name, she whispered. Not just mine, Eli said. His who? Our father. Mara felt the floor vanish beneath her. No. He started it. The reclamation. We're not victims, Mara. We're blood. Mara ran back through the pines, back to the cabin. She didn't stop until she collapsed onto the forest floor, heaving. She felt tainted, stained by something that had been chasing her since birth. The blood-stained note, the man at the gas station, the woman in the woods, even the little girl. All of it was about her, because she didn't just run into horror that day. She'd been born from it. Later, she sat beside a fire Eli had built. Neither of them spoke for a long time. Finally, she asked, "Why now?" Eli stared into the flames. "Because the reclamation is waking up again. They're rebuilding, recruiting, and they want you back." "And what do you want?" she asked. He looked at her. "To stop them, but I can't do it alone. You're stronger than I am. You always were. I don't want to be, Mara whispered. Doesn't matter. He reached into his coat and handed her something. A key. There's a house, he said. Deep in the pines. It belonged to him. He kept everything there. Files, recordings, plans. If we find it, we end this. Mara held the key tight. She didn't trust Eli. She didn't trust anyone. But she knew one thing. She needed answers. And the only way to get them was to walk straight into the nightmare. That night, as she tried to sleep, she heard scratching on the cabin door. She opened it slowly. No one there. Just a small envelope on the ground. She picked it up. Inside was a Polaroid dot of her, standing at the fire with Eli, taken from the trees, and scrawled across the photo. In black ink, "We see you, Mara." Mara had never seen trees this tall. They stretched endlessly toward the sky, thick and ancient, like guardians of something sacred, or something that should have stayed buried. The path to the house was barely a trail anymore. Roots snarled beneath her boots. Fog coiled around the trunks. Behind her, Eli walked silently, every step weighed with history. "How much farther?" she asked, voice tight. "We're close." Mara glanced down at the iron key in her hand, the one her so-called brother had given her. It was ice cold, even now, though it hadn't left her pocket since last night. "I still don't believe it," she said. "You don't have to believe it," Eli replied. "You just have to see it." They found the house at the base of a ridge, a two-story cabin swallowed in moss and time. Its windows were fogged. The front door was cracked open, as if waiting. The moment Mara stepped inside, the air changed. Thicker, heavier, like grief soaked into the walls. Dust covered everything, but it was arranged too neatly. Shelves lined with labeled files, cabinets with names etched into them. A generator hummed somewhere deep below, like a buried heart still beating. Eli gestured to the fireplace. "That brick," he said. "Move it." Mara hesitated, then pulled it loose. Behind it, a small metal box. Inside, a thumb drive, a photo of a teenage girl with a bruised face, and a note, scrawled in faded ink. She fought back. "We failed her. But Mara will finish what we couldn't." "A? Who's A?" Mara asked, voice unsteady. Eli's eyes glinted. "The only one who ever tried to stop him." They plugged in the drive using a dusty laptop from the upstairs study. It took 5 minutes to boot. Inside, dozens of video files. Mara opened the first. A man appeared on the screen. Mid-40s, slick hair, eyes that didn't blink enough. He stood in front of a chalkboard filled with diagrams and lists. "We aren't saving them," he said to the camera. "We're correcting them. Children raised in broken homes are broken people. We reset the wiring before the rot sets in." He smiled like it was gospel. "This is not cruelty. This is reclamation." Mara paused it. "That's him." Eli nodded. "Our father." Each video got worse. Footage of kids tied to chairs, being reconditioned. Interviews with women who looked drugged. Photos of abandoned highways. Of towns no longer on maps. And in file number 27, Mara saw herself. Subject 0412, female, age 7, a voice said. A clip played. Mara, small and terrified, screaming for her mother inside a white room. Then silence. Then a voice whispering, "No one is coming for you." Mara dropped the laptop. Her breath came in gasps. "They did this to me," she whispered. "That's why I can't remember parts of my childhood. Why I always felt broken." Eli touched her shoulder gently. "They didn't break you. They failed to erase you. That's why you're still dangerous to them." That night, Mara stayed downstairs in the living room, watching the rest of the videos alone. One stood out, a woman with curly hair, speaking softly to the camera. "If this message reaches anyone, please know, we tried. We tried to burn it all down, but he always had eyes everywhere, especially in the children. She paused. He called her Mara, said she was his final project, that she would either lead the reclamation or destroy it. I hope she chooses fire. By morning, Mara had made her decision. We end it. Eli looked up from a file he was reading. How she slid a sheet of paper across the table. Coordinates, a date, a list of names. There's going to be a gathering, a rebirth ceremony, tomorrow night. That's insane, he said. You can't just walk in there. I'm not going to walk, she said. I'm going to be invited. She opened a cabinet near the kitchen. Inside, dozens of old ID cards, badges, disguises, and on top, a black lanyard labeled Initiator. Eli's jaw clenched. That badge belonged to him, he said. Then it's time someone better wore it. They drove 4 hours, across state lines, into a flat desert valley surrounded by cliffs. At the far end, a bunker-like structure, half buried into the earth. Cars lined the gravel lot. Men and women in beige uniforms walked freely between checkpoints, smiling, calm, like they were attending a retreat. You sure about this? Eli whispered. No, Mara said, but I've never been more ready. They stepped out, heads held high. Mara flashed the initiator badge. The guard nodded them through. Welcome home, he said with a grin inside. It looked like a luxury wellness center, calming music, dim lights, brochures on tables, but behind the beauty, horror. Mara could feel it pulsing through the walls, like the house in the pines, but louder now, more organized. She walked to the reception desk. Initiator 0400. Those are reporting early for review. The man behind the desk blinked, checked the badge, then the name list, then smiled. We've been expecting you. He handed her a key card and a folder. Your room is 207. You'll meet the founder at 8 p.m. Mara's blood froze. He's still alive? He's always been alive, the man said softly. He watches everything. Later that evening, she stood outside room 207, staring at the card in her hand. Eli leaned against the opposite wall. If he sees you, he'll know. I need him to, Mara replied. I need him to look me in the eye. She slid the card. The door unlocked. Inside, a sterile suite. White walls, one chair, one mirror, and sitting in that chair was him, older now, thinner, but the eyes were the same, cold and calculating. Mara, he said with a smile. My favorite. Don't, she spat. He stood slowly. You don't understand. You were never a prisoner. You were a seed. A seed for what? More broken children? More monsters like you? A better world, he said. Through control, through clarity, through sacrifice. He stepped closer. And now you've come home to lead them. No, she whispered. I've come to end them. She pulled the thumb drive from her pocket and dropped it on the table. I copied everything. The files, the videos, the proof. If I don't walk out of here by midnight, it goes live. He didn't flinch. We'll find it. Maybe. But not before the world sees what you've done. What we survived. For a moment, the mask slipped. His smile cracked. You always were a mistake. And you always were a coward, she replied. Then, calmly, she turned and walked out. Mara didn't speak as she and Eli walked back toward the exit. But as they approached the door, alarms blared. The lights flickered. A voice boomed overhead. Warning, security breach. Lockdown in 60 seconds. They ran, but as they reached the lot, tires screeched. 3 black SUVs cut them off. Men jumped out, guns raised. Down, now. Eli pulled Mara behind a car. Gunfire ripped through the air. He grabbed her face, eyes blazing. Get the hell out of here. I'm not leaving you. Mara, run. He shoved her toward the woods, then turned to face them alone. Mara ran until her lungs gave out. She didn't stop until she reached a highway. A trucker picked her up, confused by the blood, the panic, the silence. She didn't speak, just handed him a USB. "Drive me to the nearest police station." "You okay, miss?" "Not yet," she said, "but I'm finally free." The police station smelled like bleach and lies. Mara sat in a hard plastic chair, coat still streaked with dirt and dried blood. Her hands trembled as she slid the USB across the desk to the officer. "It's all on there. Names, videos, locations, children, dead ones, ones who never got out." The officer, a woman with kind eyes but a sharp stare, plugged it in without a word. Her expression didn't change as the first file played, just a man's voice on the screen. "We don't save them, we repurpose them. The reclamation is not a rescue, it's a redesign." Click. Another video, then another. The woman finally looked up. "Where did you get this?" "From a house no one talks about, and a facility still running underground. They tried to kill me last night." "And your name?" Mara hesitated. She'd practiced the lie in her head. A fake name, maybe. One that wouldn't trigger alerts. But she was tired of lies. "Mara Harlow." The woman froze, and then smiled. But it didn't reach her eyes. "Thank you, Miss Harlow. You've done the right thing." She pressed the silent alarm under her desk. 10 minutes later, Mara was in a holding room for her safety. She paced like a caged animal. The window was mirrored glass, the door locked. There was no phone, no clock, just time stretching out in her mind like a noose. Something was wrong. Why haven't they asked for a statement? Why hasn't Eli contacted me? The door opened. A man stepped in, clean suit, clipboard, fake concern all over his face. "Miss Harlow, I'm Agent Collins, with Internal Affairs. I'm afraid there's been a situation." Mara tensed. "What kind of situation?" He sighed. The USB drive was corrupted. Most of the files were unrecoverable. "That's impossible." "I'm afraid not. And there's more. The man you arrived with, Eli, was found dead this morning. Car crash on Highway 12. Mara went still. The world blurred for a second. "You're lying," she said, voice flat. "I'm sorry. We understand this is a shock. We're going to place you under protective watch for your own." "No?" She stepped back, eyes burning. "You're part of them. Miss Harlow, you work for him. You're still cleaning up his mess." Agent Collins sighed again, this time with no pretense. "You were never meant to get this far." He reached into his pocket. She moved faster. Years of instinct, rage, and raw survival kicked in. She grabbed the metal chair, swung it hard. It slammed into his head with a crack. He went down. Mara ran. The hallways were empty, too empty. This wasn't a station. It was a facade. She found a back exit near a loading dock and burst out into the cold air. No one chased her. She didn't stop running until she hit a rest stop 10 miles away, where she collapsed in a bathroom stall, knees shaking, breath short. Eli was gone. The files were lost. The enemy was bigger than she thought, and yet she still had one card left, her memory, and the name she saw scratched onto a wall back at the house. Alma M. Winters, last known survivor. The one who burned the archives. 2 days later, Mara stood outside a nursing home in Montana. It took bribery, a fake ID, and 2 favors she didn't want to owe, but she got access. Room 113. Inside, a woman in her 70s, hair white, arms covered in faint scars that looked like wires had once lived there. She turned slowly. "Mara," she said, voice soft. "You finally found me. You know who I am." Alma nodded. "I knew you'd come. You're the last seed, the one who was supposed to bloom into their new prophet. But I didn't. No, you cracked their program. That's why he's scared." Mara sat down beside her. "I need to end this." Alma smiled. "Then you'll need me." That night, Alma opened her storage trunk. a fireproof case full of secrets. Inside, a second copy of the full archive, hand-drawn maps of every reclamation location, a name list, over 200 operatives worldwide, and at the bottom, a single page, laminated and faded. Mara read it once, then again, her hands shook. Why is my mother's name on this list? Alma looked away, because she helped build it. It felt like being stabbed by memory itself. Mara stood alone outside the building, the cold slicing through her jacket. She remembered flashes, a soft voice, lullabies in the dark, arms holding her after nightmares. She saved me, Mara whispered. She also delivered you, Alma said behind her. To him. To the man who ran the first facility? No. You're wrong. She believed in the program once, until she didn't, and by the time she tried to fix it, it was too late. Mara's eyes blurred. Did she die in the fire? Alma hesitated. No, she said quietly. She started it. That night, Mara made her choice. They would burn the system from the inside, not with violence, but exposure. A public reveal, the files, the truth, the survivors' voices, and one final speech, live. 1 week later, a mysterious video dropped. Across the internet, untraceable, clear, devastating. Mara's voice filled the screen. If you're watching this, it means I survived, and they didn't erase me. I was kidnapped at age 7, brainwashed, groomed to become their next leader. But I remembered. And now I'm remembering for every child they tried to reclaim. They are real. The reclamation is real, and I have their names. The screen cut 2 clips, children in rooms. The founders' speeches, maps, tears, scars. The world erupted. News stations, hashtags, whistleblowers stepping forward, survivors finding each other, and somewhere in a deep, cold room, the founder watched in silence, but he wasn't done, and neither was Mara. She knew this was the calm before the storm, so when the doorbell rang at Alma's house 3 days later, she didn't flinch. She opened it slowly, and standing there was Eli. Alive, bleeding, one eye swollen shut, a bullet wound stitched by hand. You didn't think I'd miss the ending, did you? The fire crackled in Alma's old stone hearth, casting shadows across Eli's battered face. He winced as Mara stitched the last of his wounds, her hands steady, her jaw clenched. They thought they killed you, she said. They tried, he rasped. 3 men, no insignias. One of them whispered. She was never supposed to survive this long. That's when I knew it was coming to an end. Alma sat quietly, fingers folded, watching them like a prophet who'd already seen the last page of a cursed book. You both understand what happens next, she said softly. Mara nodded. We don't run, we end it. That night, they laid it all out on Alma's kitchen table. The flash drives, the analog files, the list of over 200 names, operatives, supporters, donors, and former reclamation leaders, now rebranded as corporate executives, politicians, even child safety advocates. Eli brought something else, a final location, the original facility, he whispered. The one you escaped from. It's still standing. I thought it burned, Mara said. The house burned. The underground archive didn't. Mara's stomach turned. She remembered that hallway of red doors, the screaming, the cold metal table, her mother's trembling hands as she whispered I'm sorry before leaving her in the dark. Then we finish what she started, Mara said. We burn the rest of it, not just burn it, Alma said. We show the world what was buried. 2 days later, they arrived just after midnight. The facility lay buried under what now looked like an abandoned rural church, the kind with broken stained glass and a sagging roof. No cameras, no guards, too quiet. They entered through a side door, forced open with Eli's crowbar. The interior was untouched by time, dust-coated pews, hymn books still open, a child's shoe forgotten near the altar. Behind the pulpit, they found a false floor below it, a cold steel spiral staircase that dropped into the dark. Mara descended first. Every step echoed like a scream. The underground complex looked like something from a horror documentary. White walls yellowed with mildew. Two-way mirrors cracked. Dried blood under door handles. Mara's hands trembled as memories slammed into her. The doctors in white coats. The man with the silver ring. The founder. The taste of metal every time she tried to scream. Eli stayed close, watching corners. They reached the main server room, still intact, still humming. Alma plugged in the transmitter. It would upload everything. The footage, the files, the last batch of names to global news sites, human rights groups, and the deep web, all in real time. "You've got 10 minutes, Alma said. "Once we start the upload, they'll come. Let them," Mara whispered. "I'm not afraid anymore." They activated the upload. A soft chime echoed, and then the lights went red. They were not alone. From the far hallway, footsteps, 6 of them, men in black gear, no faces visible. Eli drew his weapon. Mara stood her ground, hands empty. The lead man raised a hand. "Mara Harlow, come with us. No one else needs to die. You've already killed everyone else," she replied. A pause. "Your mother didn't have to die, Mara. That was your choice when you ran." Her heart cracked again. Then she saw it. The man's silver ring. Her voice was ice. I gave you a chance at rebirth. You could have led the new generation. I'd rather burn it all down." He smiled. "Then you'll die with it." Bullets tore through the air. Eli returned fire. Fast and trained, but he was outnumbered. Alma ducked behind the servers, clutching the upload drive. Mara grabbed the crowbar and swung with feral strength, striking one guard's helmet clean off. She didn't stop. This was her reckoning. This was for the kids in the red rooms, for the girls who never made it out, for the mother who tried too late, for the child she once was, silenced, caged, forgotten. When the dust cleared, the floor was slick with blood. 2 guards remained. Eli was on the ground, shot twice. Alive, but fading fast. Mara stood over the founder, his legs shattered, hand reaching for his gun. She kicked it away. "You created this," she said, shaking, "and you still think you're the victim." He coughed blood. "You think the world will care? They'll forget, like they always do." "Maybe," she said, "but not before they see everything." Behind her, the upload meter hit 100%. They set the charges. Alma helped Eli limp out as Mara stayed behind one last minute. She looked around at the machines, the screens, the symbols on the walls. "No more prophets," she whispered. She lit the fuse. They made it out just as the first explosion rippled underground. The earth shook. Fire shot through the cracks in the floorboards of the fake church. The stained glass blew outward like a scream of light. Mara didn't look back. 3 weeks later, the world was changed. The reclamation was no longer a myth. There were arrests, investigations, protests, survivors stepping into the light for the first time in decades. Mara never appeared on TV. She didn't want fame. She wanted healing. Eli survived Alma, vanished again. Some said she moved to Norway. Others claimed she died a week later. Mara knew better. She was watching always. One morning, Mara stood by her mother's grave, a single white lily in her hand. She spoke softly. "You made mistakes, but you tried. I wish you had more time. I wish I had more time." She placed the lily down. "I'm not who they wanted me to be. I'm free now, and I forgive you." The wind stirred the grass, and just for a moment, it felt like a hand brushing her cheek, somewhere far away, in a different country. A young woman scrolled through her phone. She stopped on a story titled, "The Reclamation Cult," inside the global network that kidnapped children for psychological repurposing. She blinked, looked closer. and saw her own face in one of the survivor sketches. Tears filled her eyes. They remembered me. She whispered. She clicked the link. She wasn't alone anymore. The end.